Welcome to Key House.
I could never get your father to talk about his life here.
Going through your resume, you have a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies, and they're all very different. So I wanted to ask you, what drives you to tell these stories? Do you think there is a common theme or a common element between them?
One thing is I like cross-genre storytelling, so I think a common theme of many of my shows is just stories that combine different genres. Like Lost was an adventure story crossed with science fiction. Bates Motel is like a romantic tragedy crossed with like a pulpy crime drama. So I mean, the thing I loved about Locke Key was it was this incredible blend of different genres, but done really effectively, and that's a hard thing to do, especially the combination of horror and fantasy.
Gabriel, we usually get to talk to the writers of the comic books because maybe they had to rewrite some part of the story or anything, and we don't get to talk to the illustrators. And what was your take on this show? What was your job? How did you approach the production with Carlton and his team?
Well, basically from the get-go, we were available to help the production in any way they would need. We had a lot of like backup material because of the backstory Bible that we did for the book and all the production design that I did to develop the keys, the house, the town of Lovecraft, the wardrobe of the characters throughout the story and stuff like that. From then on, basically from time to time, I get a question about specific things or a request of certain material. But basically for me, it's like sitting there and watching Disneyland build on your own like ideas for you in real time. So it was a very magical experience, and also got the chance to learn a lot about what it means to translate a story from one media to a different storytelling media.
The comic has a lot of horror elements and a lot of blood too, and the show kind of has a different tone.
So far. We never know where we're going to get.
I like that. Was that hard to get? Was that the idea you had at first?
Well, I think that having experimented with doing a more horror-oriented version for Hulu, it felt more true to the source material and more true to, I don't know, something in my own heart that we should make a show that was more of a fantasy version of it.
Gabriel, did you have the chance to go to the Key House to see the sets personally?
Yes, I got invited to Toronto by the production staff, and it was insane. It's because one of the things is you always like try to figure out how is in reality to make these things happen in a way that they look on the screen, and you know that there's a lot of things that get faked, are done with CGI, etc. But then for a show like this one, I think they took a very bold and interesting decision on building as much and making happen in real life as much as they could, considering the limits of the story. And I think they made this amazing playground for the actor to develop the story and develop the characters. So having the chance to walk inside Key House and go through the hallways and get into the kitchen and get into different studios and to see the ghost door and touch it, it was a really like mesmerizing, but also being able to walk to the walls and see that they had made these little cracks on the wall, and when you approach and watch it like at this distance, it still looks real and believable. Then you realize, okay, these guys like really are putting everything they got on this, because the attention and care about everything is something that you never expected to be like that.
So, and Carlton, you said you're already working on the season 2 of the show, even though we don't know if it's going to happen. Hopefully, yes. But Gabriel, I wanted to ask you, do you think there is any chance you go back to Locke Key on the comics?
We are getting back to Locke Key in the comics. With Joe, we've been discussing the idea of exploring this universe in new ways, and even though we have closed like Tyler's coming-of-age story and a part of the Locke family story, we know there are room to keep exploring. It was a thing of timing and having the right moment to do it, and also I felt like I needed like to pile more experience trying other stories before. Joe as well, he wrote a couple novels as well, worked on a couple of movie projects in which he was involved, and we're hoping to bring all of that new experience into new stories of Locke Key. But we've been, I think, 4 years ago, we decided we're going to go to a new, like, big arc of Locke Key. Right now, we're finishing a couple one-shots that are going to complete a 7th book of Locke Key that's going to be titled The Golden Age, which revisits the past of the Locke family in detailed key moments. And after we wrap that, we're hoping to get into another long run in which we already know what we're going to deal. That's going to be titled World War Key. So you're going to get like news from new Locke and Key comics very, very soon.
Whatever you think you understand about those keys.